How the Astartes had left to action, cutting on swaths of orcs in seconds. How they kept the unceasing hail of withering fire was beyond him. Yet how could anyone stand against such horrific aliens? Worst of all, Anthony could see him, a towering, lean beast. A wicked knife in one hand and a brutal sword in the other. Crude snake tattoos covering his body. Anthony could see the dark gleaming eyes from here. Then those eyes turned up to stare at him, and Anthony's heart dropped away into nothingness. He fell to his knees, cowering in his foxhole. His vox beat crackled. "Stand up, Anthony." The deep, rumbling voice of an Astartes washed over him. His body moved without thought and completely out of his control. "Stand and fight in the name of the Emperor, Anthony. His angels are with you." The vox rumbled once more before shutting off with a flare of bolter fire and static. Anthony nodded and began bellowing orders, repeating the Emperor's angels are with us. "Fight!" He began to run down the lines, hauling militiamen to their feet. Soon the air was filled with the hiss and crack of last fire. Ozone began to choke the base of the valley as the last fire fused the air as it struck the orcs. The fire from all sides began to confuse the orcs as they began to open up on the unseen PDF troops. Their fire ripped through the shrubs and rocks covering the hillsides, but to little avail as the PDF were all well dug in and hidden. The large orc at the center began to club and snarl at his troops, urging them up the steep slopes. It was slow going for the orcs as they clawed their way up the hillside, only to be met with wild blast fire. Artorius sighed in relief. In truth, little speech was a well-placed gamble. The PDF captain had struck Artorius as inexperienced and likely to panic. Artorius didn't begrudge the man. He wasn't a soldier. None of the PDF were. They were an expendable necessity to hold the walls long enough for the guard to arrive. This plan would likely have been overrun without the Sons of Avalon's intervention. Artorius wondered how many more wolves had fallen because he and his brothers had been deployed there. "Artorius, you're overextending again," Antioch chastised over the box as he stepped in next to his knight captain. He bolted blazed as he put down 3 more orcs, 2 bolts exploding into each, ripping out their hearts. Artorius blinked a little in surprise as he took note of the destruction he'd wrought. "Forgive me, brother sergeant. My eyes were set upon the enemy leader." Artorius lied as he stood back with Antioch, who let out a static snort of laughter. "They would have made you the epithet Gloryhound, not Wolfblade." Artorius grinned as he lopped the head of an orc. "To be honest, brother, I never liked Wolfblade." Antioch let out another snort as he fell back to the sentinel. "Are you two done chatting? We have orcs to kill," growled Baldwin. He was now wielding his bolter in one hand, as his overarm occasionally made violent spasms. "To be fair, brother, these orcs make for poor sport," quipped Faustian, his bolter barking fiercely as he placed 2 shots between the eyes of an orc. The alien's head detonating in a spectacular display of gore. Artorius stepped up onto the sentinels, surveying the dwindling orcs. The PDF were opening up in full force now, prompted more by the Xenos advancing on them than Artorius or Anthony. Artorius glared at the orc war boss, his sword pointing right at the beast's heart. Its black blade iridescent in the midnight sun. The monster gave an evil grin as it approached Artorius. It spun its wicked blades with glee, chuckling as it shoved through its fellows. Artorius' brothers made way for the war boss as it approached. Artorius immediately brought his stone bolter to bear. He unleashed a tide of fire into the orcish war boss, who simply guffawed as he grabbed one of his fellow orcs and used him as a living shield. The other orcs held back as the boss bellowed, "This Archill's mine! I want his chopper!" Artorius emptied his stormbolter into the beast, clipping it several times but failing to wound it, let alone kill it. The beast let out a squeal of delight as Artorius' stormbolter clicked empty. With one powerful bound, the orc landed in a semicircle of Astartes and threw the tattered remains of his comrade on the ground. Once the beast was within the ring of Astartes, the orcs began to press the attack. At the same time, the boss left for Artorius like a coiled spring. Artorius nimbly dodged to the side, covering his flank with his blade. The screech of orcish metal against the ethereal steel of Artorius' own blade echoed above the battlefield. The orc was cunning and wily. It threw dirt in an attempt to blind Artorius. pulled a hidden dagger and tried to drive it into Artorius' neck. This is a surprisingly fucking agile orc, my fucking god. Yet each attempt was met with a swift and measured strike to counter it. It was not a case predicting the orc or reacting faster, but a simple a static, washing over them both before each strike. A pause in the breath of the universe. Diana's gasped, her head throbbing in pain. A bandage had been inexplicably stuck to her forehead. She raised up a hand to touch it and came away wet with blood. A thunderous bang could be heard above her. Her head rang and her eyesight blurred as light blazed in from her open cockpit. Delirious and throbbing in pain, Diana unbuckled herself from its safety harness. With a grunt of pain, she began to haul herself out of a ruined sentinel. The light dazzled her as she escaped her tomb. Dazed, she looked about in the midday sun. There she saw him towering over her, green, lean, and terrifying. The orc was locked in combat with the Astartes captain. A scream tore from her lips before she could think, fear grabbing her senses and thrusting her into mad panic. She scrambled to get away, to draw her pistol, to do something to save herself. The orc boss growled in annoyance, throwing a dagger at Diana. Artorius moved swiftly, swatting the dagger away as he planted himself between the orc and the wounded PDF trooper. The orc grinned and leapt for the girl. Artorius swung to block the blade, destined for the girl. Hello, whoever joined to this TED Talk.
Reading my fanfic.
Yeah, as I said, I'm reading it.
You wouldn't.
I'm a fan of Oof.
Yeah, we have dubbed one of your characters Oof because we couldn't figure out how to fucking pronounce his name.
Is it Baldwin?
No. Yeah,
Oh,
whatever that was. Yeah.
Oh, Grandmaster Uthodurn. How can
you... Yeah, Grandmaster Oof.
Disgusting.
He left in such disgust.
Grandmaster Uthodurn, how could you? My fucking fan.
Did I mention that I'm recording this as well?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, now you did.
And now to get him banned off Twitch.
No. Don't do it.
No, joke's on you. I'm using an actual recording, not Twitch.
N. Ah, so I can replace orc with N now. Got it. Only for the
giant.
Only for the orc war boss to sink his dagger into the rent in Artorius' upper thigh and twisting it through the bone. Artorius let out a growl of pain, not a growl, like growl, as the orc wrenched the dagger, throwing Artorius off his feet. With a triumphant howl of glee, the war boss thrust his sword downward to finish off the wounded marine. Artorius brought his blade in to parry the blow, twisting his blade ever so slightly, deflecting the orc's chopper narrowly. The orc's cruel blade sunk into the dirt, inches away from Artorius' head. In one quick thrust, Artorius slid his sword through the orc's neck. The orc's expression went from joyful glee to mild surprise as his eyes looked down to see Artorius' blade sticking for his throat. With a grunt of effort, Artorius rolled and wrenched his blade through the orc's neck, cutting it clean off. Panting slightly, Artorius staggered to his feet, pulling the orc's dagger from his leg with a growl. The orcs, seeing their leader fall, began to howl and whoop. Some ran, others began to club those around them and bellow orders. The Sons of Avalon pressed the attack with ruthless efficiency. They had seen the sorry performance too many times. When the biggest orc falls, all orders... Hello? Whoever joined? Varv again? Hello, Varv.
No.
Welcome back. Oh, Cragmore joins us for this TED Talk. See now, where was I? The Sons of Avalon pressed the attack with ruthless efficiency. They had seen the sorry performance too many times. When the biggest orc falls, all others soon follow as the orcs fall into infighting and bickering. Artorius sighed as he felt the static dissipative. What? Explain yourself.
The static dissipating.
Yeah, it says dissipative.
That's a correction I need to do then, isn't it?
There are a few corrections you need to do.
I don't doubt it. That is literally the only second draft.
The battle was won. Artorius stared at the fallen head of the orc and frowned. He sat down on the sentinel as his brothers finished off the disorganized orcs. Diana sat in shocked silence. She watched the giant sit on her roundabout. She fell forward as benediction, passing up garbled prayers as thanks to the angel. The angel didn't seem to pay her any heed as his helm stayed fixed on the orc's head. Diana slowly dared to raise her eyes to look at her savior. She froze there, barely looking upon him. His bright blue armor coated in blood, burns, and dirt. A tabard was stretched over his armor. It was burnt and torn in several places. Emblazoned across the center of it was a bright white wolf with a black blade clutched in its jaws. "Lord?" she eventually stammered. The giant turned his knightly helm to regard the girl. "Yes?" It boomed. "Thank you, Lord," she blurted out, her words tripping over each other in a panicked stampede. She lowered her head in benediction, her arms giving way, causing her to sprawl in the dirt. The giant regarded her for a long moment, the sound of battle dying away in the background. "You are welcome," he replied. His voice was like warm honey to her. His tones soothing her aching body. He then forced his head to a sound Diana could not hear.
What the fuck did you just read?
Then turned his head to a sound Diana could not hear.
There we go, that's the sentence.
Yeah. I misread that terribly.
Wow, Green, you out here misreading while you're slamming Varvarus grammar?
I will slam about this grammar, and you can't spell Sweden.
Wow, that's really fucking backfired.
The fucking, by the way, the dissipated thing, that was auto-corrected, so now
I
I'm
wouldn't be
very
surprised. There's a lot of
paranoid.
autocorrection going on here that has fixed them, or quote-unquote fixed some shit.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying.
Yay.
Standing up abruptly, he sheathed his sword.
Sheathed.
Sheathed?
That's how you...
Sheated.
Sheated.
Sheathed.
Teaching
He shat
green
out his
English.
sword.
He sheathed. He's a fucking cheat.
He sheathed his blade,
respect.
not sheathed his sword. Can't even read.
He sheathed his sword.
Sheathed his sword.
Sheathed the sword inside the guardswoman. If you know what I'm saying.
Get out of here.
No.
They did the sec.
No.
CBT with Space Marines.
Oh no.
My
Standing up
faith
on
is
this-
my shield. Ah!
And stormed off towards his fellow angels. Diana stayed there, sprawled in the dirt, relief watching over her. She had survived. She let out a deep sigh of relief and let exhaustion take her. Yeah, I guess how this feels after you've been in bed with a Space Marine.
Fuck off. Like the fact that you put that in there annoys me because there was no. I was basically thinking about how I feel after.
Loki.
I was basically thinking how I feel after I've been knocked about on the
After you fucked a
battlefield.
marine? That's crazy, bro.
And now you just get very, very exhausted and your muscles just give up on
I
you.
mean, yeah,
Oh, is
obviously.
that what happens? And then he has his way with you.
Yeah, but the problem is that it does sound a little bit sexual.
Mm.
I mean, think if you had a Sister of Battle there instead. Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't make any sense because the Sister of Battle would nowhere near be in as much trouble
It's
as a
a
random
fanfic. That doesn't
PDF
need to be.
woman with 3 hours of
Let me
training.
end silence in peace.
You can get your boner out of here, America, right now.
Never.
Mister
Please
makes
continue.
a third squad
Continue
take
the
fucking
story.
5 minutes to do the
Continue
first run.
erotic story, please.
Go to horny jail, bonk.
No. Horny gel can't keep me. The
Horny
smell of
Jill's not
burning
strong.
flesh filled the valley as the PDF burned the remains of the orcs. The 5 Astartes watched. They'd returned to the rocky outcropping. The mood amongst them was melancholic. So, when will we be back here to put down the fresh uprising? Asked Brother Faustin, with his usual air of joviality. Antioch let out of a robotic grumble and shifted his weight and folded his arms. He cocked his head to one side and gave the burning bodies a scrutinizing glower. Well, considering the wind and terrain, the spore should still be in this valley. If we're lucky, 50 years at least. Antioch grumbled, forcibly interjecting his annoyance into his robotic tone. Antioch then looked to Artorius, who was hunched at the edge of the outcropping. "It's something the matter, brother," he growled. Artorius turned his head slightly before reaching up to remove his helm. His helm disengaged with a hiss and sniffed the air and took a deep breath. Artorius' face was scarred and rough. He had short cropped brown hair and a neat beard. Neat.
Greetings.
Shut up.
Neat.
Oh, it says that the Sentinel pilot getting dicked again.
Ah, that's a neat short beard.
This is what you've caused me. A neat short beard.
It's not just a neat beard. I can't believe he's a neat. He studied the blade. What a fucking gremlin. Incel marine.
Anyways.
I mean, his best friend is a dog, so makes sense.
His eyes were a shocking blue. Still feel it. Not as intense as before, but something is amiss. Maybe not here, but somewhere. Faustian snorted before disengaging his own helm. His face was chiseled and sleek. Once again, neat. Shortly coiffed, blonde hair topped his handsome features.
That neat should not be there. I don't know why it's there.
Just love fucking Green's inflection. Once again, neat.
His face was chiseled and sleek. Short, short coiffed blonde hair topped his handsome features.
He's all used to fucking
Handsome
ER
features,
fanfic.
what the fuck?
He's a very handsome boy. Yeah.
It's hip to fuck marines.
Was this Blood Angel?
His eyes were shimmering green and sparkled when he spoke, just like me. "Come now, bravo captain. You have earned yourself a most glorious victory, and a most worthy addition to your legend." Faustian fixed Artorius with his best grin. In another life, Artorius could have easily seen Faustian as a sculptor's muse, or a high noble of some pleasure world. There was no honor or glory in that duel, Artorius grumbled, folding his gauntlet hand over his helm. "My good captain, you need not be so hard on yourself. So that little human forced you to take a blow. There's no shame in that. You're only doing what was proper." Faustian mockingly chided. With a mischievous grin. Chided. There are two Ds after that. It's a short I.
I think that's an autocorrect thing then, but yeah.
"Enough, Faustian. I've had enough of your prattling for one day," growled Baldwin, who was rolling his injured arm. In slow, steady motions. "These humans are lucky. Their inaction almost cost me my arm. That girl was not worth the trouble." "Should have let the orc run her through," grumbled Baldwin. Artorius gave Baldwin a fearsome glare that hushed him into silence. I think you three best return to lander and signal for our extraction," Antioch ordered with a burst of static. Faustian and Baldwin began to march off, but their third compatriot waited. "Yes, Tybalt?" Artorius queried, his face set in stoic contemplation. "You did the right thing, Captain," Tybalt murmured, though his voice still rolled like the ocean. "Thank you, Tybalt," Artorius replied, raising a hand to dismiss him. Antioch watched the three of her Astartes disappear. "You should have brought Starlight. You're always in a better mood when he's with you," Antioch said, trying to be jovial. But his Vox unit always turned his voice into a bark or a growl of static. "We're never coming back here," Artorius murmured. "What?" Antioch asked, his brow furrowing beneath his helm. "This planet will be exterminatus." An actual term written right here and now. Exterminatus.
That's what it is. That's the past tense of exterminatus. Exterminatus.
In 80 years after it's been overrun by...
Right here, right now.
The Librarius has foreseen it. Artorius' voice was held at a steady measure, stoic and wavering. "Then why are we here?" Antioch blurted out in a burst of static. He growled, reaching up to his throat, and began trying to adjust his Vox unit. "A straight round hit it, right?" Artorius asked, glancing at Antioch, who replied with a curt nod. "You didn't answer," Antioch said. After a while of fiddling with his Vox unit, Artorius sighed. The orc I slew would have been able to get the orcs off the planet and become a sector-wide threat. Artorius gestured down to where the corpse of the orc boss was. Now burning. To where the orc boss was now burning. The pair waited in silence for a few minutes before Antioch spoke up. That fails to explain why you saved the human. Artorius let out a smaller sigh and gave Antioch a slight grin. Do I need a reason? Antioch grumbled and gave Artorius a stern glare. Your pride will be the death of you. Artorius shook his head. No, my instincts will be the death of me. Antioch let out another chuckle of static. Your only instinct is to seek glory. Artorius sighed and went back to staring at the burning valley. We should probably join the others, Antioch remarked as he turned his back on the valley. Go ahead, and with a few more minutes, Artorius replied, his eyes scanning the horizon. Antioch tutted and marched solemnly away. Artorius rose to his full height, affixing his helm as he did so. He surveyed this doomed world and wondered. As before any battle, there's static, and on this doomed world there was a constant static. It hummed for the air quiet and barely subtle, like a string pulled taut. Yet the last time Artorius had felt this was on Albatenica? Alhambra? His home.
Okay.
And that's it. That's Var's entire ERP fanfic.
Fantastic.
About a guardswoman finding love.